Hey you guys, Matt Allen here. Welcome back to Tactical Bassin. Today we are out exploring a brand new lake and I'm taking you guys along with me. Should be a really fun day on the water. Let's go. This is the time of year to get out on the water and try new things. Try new lakes, try new baits, new techniques. So I picked a lake off of the map today, somewhere I've never been, and we are just going exploring. I've got everything from big swim baits and glide baits, chatterbait, spinnerbait, square bills, jerkbait, lipless, and then on the slower end, Senko, a jig, a free rig. I mean, you name it. I have no idea what we're facing today. This time of year, these fish should be pre-spawn slash spawn. So I just came prepared with the gamut and we're just gonna go out here and see if we can catch some fish. Let's do it. I just got hammered on an 8-inch Magdraft. I just got crushed. Wow. Awesome. We have been working for that one this morning. That's the third bite we've had on a Magdraft today.
That's a nice one, though.
First one to hook up. Beautiful fish. What'd I get? I got I hooked it in the guide too. Burrito. That was the important part, right? I just got a Dobbin's Fury with a Daiwa Regal. And what do we still have on the end of the rod there? Looks like a 6-cent square bill. That's crazy. Just caught that off the bottom of the lake. It's in pretty, actually the rod is in really good shape. The reel is in really rough shape. Too funny. You never know what you're gonna catch. Check this out, I took a second to clean it up. Other than the cork being dark, you can't even tell that thing has been in the lake. Years ago, I caught a G Loomis like that. And after it got cleaned up, that thing went back into my lineup and has had so much mojo. I like to joke that spending time on the bottom of the lake just gave that rod mojo. But seriously, you could fish with this rod today. And even the reel, look how well it cleaned up. It works. It's functional. Amazing. Just never know what's gonna happen when you're on the water. It's been a rough start so far, except that we got one really good fish, and that turns everything around. But I wanted to start with a big bait. I've been throwing a Magdraft, a Burrito, and a Bait Sanity Glide, switching between them. The reason why is when you don't know anything about a lake, and I actually thought that this lake was gonna be murky. It's pretty clear. I can see like 3.5 feet down probably. When you don't know anything about a lake, a swim bait will tell you more about it so fast. It just, fish, even if they don't eat it, they'll come up, they'll chase it. you'll see the caliber of fish that are in the lake. So my plan was to start with a swim bait, and then if we didn't catch anything, adapt from there. I have had 4 Magdraft bites this morning, and we only hooked the 1. And attention to detail is everything. Whether you're swim bait fishing or anything else, this is the stock hook. It looks fine, but when I checked my points, 2 of them are a little doled off. I've definitely banged it into some rocks, and those were the 2 points that were exposed when I did it. Still sharp enough, but when you're missing more than 1 fish, you know, get bit, miss it. And these weren't like, oh, the bait got batted, like, dong, and then there's nothing there. Incredibly frustrating. But I should have checked my hook sooner. I checked it now, and those points were just not as sticky sharp as I want them to be. And especially with a big bait, you need those hooks to just reach out and grab those fish. So I put a fresh hook on. That's an Owner ST36 2-aught. We're gonna see if we can get another bite. Hopefully we get that one in the boat. Awesome. Sharp hook. What a difference maker. Thanks, buddy. Pliers for that. It's in there. That's a good fish. Smoked that Magdraft. I'm throwing this on the Zodius 7.9 extra heavy with the Tranks. So far, this is a rod I picked up, I don't know, a couple months ago, and I've been very, very impressed with it so far. Never be afraid to throw a big bait. Look at that. That fish, he's a nice fish, but he's not a giant. He was not scared of that 8-inch swim bait whatsoever. Today is really an interesting day. If I had to bet coming into today, I would have thought we'd be fishing less than 3 feet of water, half spawners, half pre-spawners, maybe even post-spawn fish. I just wasn't sure. But when we got out here, so the first thing I did was go shallow this morning, because that's what I thought the deal would be. And I actually saw a bunch of empty beds and nothing else. And then later when the sun got up a little better, I actually saw a bunch of small bass up shallow, and I approached a bunch of them, threw a Senko at them, threw a fluke at them, threw a free rig at them. They did not want any of it, which got my wheels turning. And I started thinking, you know, my plan was to throw the big bait all morning anyway. I got a little sidetracked on these fish that I could visibly see, and they weren't on beds, they were just up shallow, like sunning themselves or something. And I've seen that sort of behavior before. So we had some cold nights the last few nights. We're between major moons, so it's not a full moon, it's not a new moon. And the beds are empty. I've seen times where a wave of fish goes up to spawn, and then the weather gets a little funky or gets cool or whatever, and they're done. And the next group just doesn't want to make the move up yet. And that is exactly what today feels like. So I backed out. I had planned to throw the big bait anyway, but instead of throwing it in, you know, 0 to 3 feet of water, 0 to 5 feet of water, I'm throwing it outside structures, secondary points, deep water areas, 5 to 20 foot, going back and forth between a Magdraft and a burrito. I've had one fish hit a burrito and not hook up, quite a few bites on the Magdraft. It's really interesting. It seems like one wave wrapped it up, and then the next wave just doesn't want to come in yet. It's just not quite perfect for them. But I think we're successfully adapting and plucking those fish off. I did just grab a spinning rod out of the locker, put on a little underspin, because I do want to see if I can get some shallow fish to bite too. I mean, mostly I'm just going to keep throwing a big bait, let's be honest. But, you know, I go a little while between bites. It would be fun to catch some fish some other ways. So I'm going to give it a try. Got him. Got him. Feels like a good fish. Oh, it's a giant. It's a giant on the underspin. Stay down, stay down. Get in there, get in there, get in there. Oh my goodness. That was one ugly net job. Got her. How's that for adapting to the situation? Look at this. Giant. 2.8 Kitech on our tactical underspin. Unreal. Well, the pattern is swim baits, little ones and giant ones, catching great big fish. Amazing. Well, I'm on a roll today. Caught a bunch of big fish, caught a fishing rod. Now I caught a jig. This feels like a big one. That's a big fish. Unreal. What a day exploring a new lake. Awesome. Thank you. That was fun. That same whiteback shad 8-inch Magdraft is doing work. It's another great big one. That one was hooked from the outside in. What a day. We are smashing. Golly. Those two were back to back. Incredible. Just incredible. I gotta keep casting. As bad as I want to throw back in there, I just took the time to sit down, cut off my leader, and tie a fresh leader. Because what you don't want to do is get caught up in the moment and let there be a mistake and end up losing a fish of a lifetime. So, in the middle of all the heat, in the middle of the excitement, I stopped and re-rigged properly. Because swim bait fishing is not complicated, but it's important that you put all the odds in your favor. This is big fish of the day. My goodness. Oh, am I glad we went exploring. Look at that. Amazing. All right, guys, we're gonna wrap it up. Today was unbelievable. So good. Just a smash fest swim bait bite. You can't beat it. So many people get caught up thinking that swim bait fishing is hard, and it's really not. I mean, as you can see, the fish literally swim up and eat the baits when they want to. It's not complicated. It's not hard. We're gonna circle back to that in a minute. I want to talk about that because I think I can point some things out that'll really help you guys so that you can get out and catch some swim bait fish this spring. Today we caught every single one of our fish on a Magdraft except for the great big one that ate the little underspin. And I want to explain why I picked up that underspin. But first let me show you the underspin, because some of you may not have realized that we launched this recently. Some people don't see every video. This is the Tactical Finesse underspin by Dirty Jigs. That's what that big one ate. A few standout things about it: tiny little hook, but it's a super heavy wire hook. So you can throw it for big fish and have no issues whatsoever. It's got a long dropper arm here, so you can fish a 3.3, a 3.8 Kitech, you know, a 3.5 Largo, some of those bigger profiles, like a 4-inch swammer. You can fish those bigger profiles and that blade will still spin underneath them. And then the biggest thing about this that I want to point out, there's no barb on this top surface in here. A lot of underspins put a barb in here, and the second a fish clamps down, they destroy the swim bait. It's done. By leaving that smooth on top, the baits last way longer, and that's one of the key reasons we built this. We felt we could build an underspin that was stronger, that would fish more swim baits, and that would help baits be more durable. But the reason I was throwing the underspin in the first place, a 2.8 Kitech, because we're in the middle of a swim bait bite, right? Makes no sense. Here's the deal. The spot I was on, there's all sorts of riprap. I mean, today our bite was definitely riprap based, but that was actually on the dam. And as you came along the wall, so down the riprap wall, I was throwing the Magdraft. I had one short strike, but there was a kick in the wall and then it straightened back out. And I fished through there with the Magdraft, got nothing. I was gonna keep going, I stopped and I thought, you know, that's too good. Because anytime you've got a wall like that where it kicks back, that is a point where bass can trap bait fish. That's just a big fish magnet. So I turned the boat around, spot locked, popped the locker. I actually had to get the rod out of the locker because I wasn't planning on throwing any spinning tackle unless I had to. tie a leader on it. I had to tie 6 pound on it, dig out an underspin, set it all up. Took 2 casts to catch that great big fish. In the middle of a big swim bait bite, sometimes you gotta follow that instinct, right? The spot was too good. I didn't get a big swim bait bite there, and I thought, no, that's a big fish spot. Let's take the time to do this right. Fired the little bait, because little baits catch big fish too, especially little swim baits. I didn't know if I was gonna catch a giant or just a good one or a bunch of fish, but I really felt like that was a spot that should have had them, and it did, which was awesome. Now, all the other fish today came on the big bait, and I really wanna hammer home this idea that swim bait fishing is easy, because you can do it. It really is easy. The only complicated part is between your ears. Let me put it in perspective. So my plan today was to throw a big bait for the first few hours. Right, I have no idea if this lake's got big fish, small fish, lots of fish, no fish. I literally picked this off of Google Earth. When you're sitting at home staring at Google Earth looking at lakes, like, this is what you dream of, right? What if I could find a lake where I just show up and throw a big bait and they crush it? Oh my gosh, it worked. But my plan was to throw the big bait for a few hours, because that's very revealing. Fish tend to pop up and look at it, even if they don't eat it. You can learn a lot about a lake. Then I was going to go shallow, because again, I mean, there ought to be spawners right now. There don't seem to be, but there ought to be. My water's low to mid 60s. We've had a bunch of hot weather, but again, we had some really cool nights, and I think that's what knocked these fish back. But my plan was to do both. So check this out. I threw, when I went shallow, because I followed through, even when the swim bait started to work, I took a couple hours that you guys probably won't see because nothing happened, but a chatterbait, a big underspin, a jig, a lipless, a Senko, a fluke, a jerkbait, a square bill, and a free rig with a creature bait on it. I got 0 bites on any of that. No bites, none. Here's what I want you to wrap your mind around. People are afraid to throw big baits because they want to catch fish. I tried all the things that you would think should catch fish. If you were in my shoes today and you didn't do this, you were not catching fish. And that's what people miss. Swim baits are not only an effective bait for catching big fish, there are times when they are a very effective bait for catching a lot of fish. Now, my plan was to throw 3 different baits, right? I had a Bait Sanity Antidote, little glide bait. Then I had the Burrito. And I had the Magdraft. Each one has its own place, right? The Burrito, I'm fishing deep or I'm fishing fast. The glide bait, I'm fishing around cover, super twitchy, super aggressive, working it, popping it. The Magdraft, I'm covering water shallow to mid depth. And my fish today were mid depth. I would say the shallowest I caught one was, I did have one that was probably like 3 to 4 foot. Most of them were between like 4 and 12 foot. And they were more than happy to come up and get that Magdraft. It was really amazing. That's that whiteback shad color. And they were just absolutely chewing this thing. And again, that's what I want you to understand. The only part of swim bait fishing that's hard is in your head. It's committing to it and deciding that you're gonna go out there and throw the big bait. Today was a prime example where I went to a lake I knew nothing about. I have no background, no history, no way to know which spots they're gonna be on, which spots they're not. I just went out there with a big bait, started chucking, believed it would happen, and it started working. And then when you get that first bite, you adapt. You get another bite, boom, you got a pattern. Do it again, do it again, do it again. Today was clearly about rocky banks. I had 1 bite on the glide out of a laid down tree, and I had 1 bite on a Magdraft out of a lay down. I didn't hook either one of those fish. I had 1 deep bite on a Burrito. Let me think. I had 2 fish that bit on like a regular bank, a mud bank with some chunk rock on it. And literally every other bite today, all those big fish bit on riprap. They were up on big chunk rock banks. Whether that was the face of the dam or whether that was just riprap points or whatever, just backs of pockets on walls, didn't matter, they were on that rock. I suspect that's because last night was cold. Sometimes that rock, especially the rock that's half in the water, half out, that'll heat up a little quicker than everything else. Maybe that's why they were up on it. I'm not sure, but it was obvious that it was a pattern, so we just took that pattern and ran with it. Guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope this was inspiring for you. It was really fun for me to go out and explore a new place and just have it work. Unbelievable. It's everything that I sit playing on Google Earth dreaming about, right? Just leaning on fish on a big bait. But I hope it was helpful for you too. I hope it was inspiring and that you've got a little more confidence to get out there and throw a big bait, because it really does work. I'll link all the gear in the video description. You know, I use some very specific rods. I talked a little bit about this Zodius Extra Heavy that I've been throwing lately. This other one, the Victory, the SB Ranger, is a rod that I've been using for my mid-sized glides, and I'm super happy with it for mid-sized glides. So I'll link some of the gear as well. But if you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and we'll talk to you soon.